All right, so this week we are going to be starting a new project. It is a grid project. So before we can actually start the Jaguar grid project, you're going to have to learn how to draw a grid. Now, I have posted some videos, and I am obviously making this video, which will then be posted onto the web page as well. So if you go to your Art Fundamentals page, which you should all be there, and you click on the little drop down for October, and you go to week 12, that is this page. Now, at the top of this page, I will be adding this video. So directly below this video will be this JAG documents, which you'll need. I gave you a printout of this in your roll of paper, but if you do not have it, I do have a copy here, and you actually don't really need to print this one. You would just need to bring it up on your screen, and I'll explain that when I get to the actual project. I also posted this video of how to draw a 1-inch grid. This lady does it perfectly. I'm going to show you as well. But if you need help drawing the grid, instead of watching this entire video again or trying to skip ahead in this video, her video right here is great. And then this video is okay. It's not the best. I'm going to explain how to use the grid as well, so you don't have to worry about that, okay? So this is another video that could be kind of helpful. I've also added a page right here called Helpful Videos, which has several videos in it, and I'm going to be adding a bunch more videos to it as the class goes on and as you guys get into more and more advanced skills. And this Helpful Videos link will just have a page full of just videos that are helpful for your projects, okay? And then there's this student projects page as well. This page actually shows some of the projects that we've done, and it's a mix of students. So I have the 1-point perspective project on here. It's not everybody's because I can't put all 180 projects on here, but it is some of the more creative ones that are really cool examples. So I put some there if you want to look at what other people have done. So what you guys are going to be starting today is you are going to be working on your JAG project. If we come down here to our agenda, it looks a little heavy, but it's really not. You're going to learn how to create a grid. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. And then you're going to watch the video on how to create a grid, which I'm showing you the video, like I'm doing it for you guys right now. And then if you need more help or you need to watch it again, there's this video here. You're going to draw your 1-inch by 1-inch grid on the 9-inch by 12-inch paper that I gave you. That's the smallest paper I gave you, and I'm going to go over that here in a second as well. Once you've drawn your grid, you will start transferring the image of the JAG to your grid. Today, we should be able to get through this video, and you should be able to get your grid drawing done. You probably won't get to start on the JAG until next class period, and that's fine. And then on Wednesday and Friday, you're going to continue to work on your JAG project, okay? So I'm going to start off by showing you guys how to draw the grid and then explain that, and then I'm going to show you guys and explain your project. So I'm going to switch over here to my hover camera. Okay, got to change seats, hold on. Okay, so you're going to need your 12-inch by 9-inch paper. Now, this is not a piece of computer paper or anything like this. This is drawing paper. I gave you 2 sheets of this paper. You will need 1 for this project, and it has to be done on this size paper. It cannot be done on any other size paper. So if you've used these 2 sizes of papers for something else, hopefully there's space on the back. But it has to be 9-inch by 12-inch. If you try and do it on any other size paper, it's not going to work right. So I really hope you guys didn't waste this paper, because we haven't used this size yet. And I know there's been confusion in some of the projects, and some of you guys have done your projects on the wrong size paper. And I've been stressing as much as I can to use the correct size paper so you don't run out of paper. So you have 2 sheets of this paper. You're only going to need 1. So it's 9 inches by 12 inches. So if you line your ruler up, see it's 12 inches long by 9 inches. A regular sheet of computer paper, regular paper, is smaller. So this is 8.5 by 11. So you'll notice that there's an inch difference and a 1/2 inch difference up top. So that's why it's really important. A regular sheet of computer paper will not work. You cannot just grab a blank piece of paper. It has to be 9-inch by 12-inch paper. I gave you 2 of them. So you should have it. Okay, so we are going to draw a grid, a 1 inch by 1 inch grid. The first thing we need to look at is our ruler. You guys have your wood rulers. This is just metal. It's a little bit easier to see. The other video that I posted, the one with the lady, she has the wood ruler kind of like your guys's, and it's the exact same situation. So I'm going to explain a little bit about the ruler before you guys start using it. So the large numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 12, those are your inch marks, okay? Now this side of the ruler has a little bit smaller marks, and this one has like less. You'll notice that there's more markings on this side than this side. They're both inches on my ruler. Your ruler might be a little different. So you want to make sure you're on the side that has inches. Like I said, mine is the same on each, okay? So we're mainly going to be focusing on inch and half inch. So this is 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch. Half inch is going to be that mark in between. So 1, 1/2, 2, 2/2, 3, 3/2, okay? Now, today, right now, you're only going to be focused on drawing an inch grid. So we only need to focus on the 1 inch marks, okay? And I'll talk about a half inch one when we look at the Jaguar picture. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to line your ruler up. Now, my ruler, 0, is right on the edge of the ruler. For your guys' ruler, it might be a little bit different. And I don't have a second ruler here to show you the difference. Some rulers, they start a little bit in from the edge, and you'll see a line. So see this little line right here, right on the edge? That's where you're supposed to start. So start at your 0 line. It's not always the edge. On this ruler, it's the edge, but on your guys' ruler, the wood rulers, it's in a little bit. So start on that line. Now you'll notice my paper is not exactly 12 inches, and that's normal. And that's because paper cutting machines in factories do not cut precise. It's close, but it's not perfect. So we're going to learn some tricks to make sure that your grids are always perfect, okay? So first thing you're going to do, line your ruler up. Mine's on the edge because that's where 0 is. Make sure yours is on 0. Then every inch you're going to make a light mark. Now I'm going to make mine darker so you can see them, but you guys need to make yours nice and light, okay? Like I said, I'm only making mine dark so you can see them. So nice and light, okay? You obviously don't need to mark at 12 because that's at the end of the paper. So I've made my marks all the way across the paper, okay? Now, it's really important that you guys don't turn your ruler, don't turn your paper. Just slide your paper up a little bit and slide your ruler down. The reason why is if we rotate our paper, just flip it around, what's going to end up happening is your lines aren't going to be straight. They're going to be off a little bit. Because if you remember, I showed you, my paper is not perfectly 12 inches. It's like 1/8 of an inch too short. And so if I flip my paper around, my lines are going to be 1/8 of an inch crooked. So it's very, very important that you measure from the same side of the paper, okay? So if I'm measuring from this side of the paper, and then if I flipped it, see now I'm not measuring, I'm measuring from the opposite side. So do not rotate your paper, okay? Do not do it. You lined your ruler up, you made your marks, slide your ruler down, okay? Keep your marks at the top. Line your ruler up at the bottom of the page. I have my ruler over the paper just a tiny bit so that my paper doesn't move. You're going to line it up where your 0 is, and you're going to make marks again. Now, it's really important that you guys make marks at the top and bottom of your page. The most common mistake I see is people only make marks at the top of the page, not at the bottom, and then when they draw their lines, they're all over the place. You have to make marks at the top and you have to make marks at the bottom, okay? So now I have marks at the top and the bottom, okay? What you're going to then do is take your ruler. I put my pencil on the mark here, push my ruler up against it, line it up with that line, that mark right down there at the bottom, and then draw your line. You're going to draw your lines nice and light. I'm drawing them a little bit darker so you can see them. So put your pencil. Okay, once again, draw lightly. Okay, I have to do everything a little bit darker so it shows up in the videos for you guys because I want you to be able to see clearly what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm just keep going. I'm putting my pencil on that mark at the top, pushing my ruler up against it, pivoting it at the bottom, going down. So your line should go through your marks. If it's not, you need to redo that line. That's another reason why it's really important for you guys to draw a light, is if you mess up a line. So make sure you start at the top mark and your line draws through the bottom mark. Okay, top mark through the bottom. And you're going to do this all the way across. Now your last box, you'll notice this box is a tiny bit smaller than your normal boxes because remember the paper's not perfect, so we're about 1/8 of an inch short, and that's okay. All right, so don't worry about that. But you should have these beautifully evenly spaced lines, okay? So everything should be nice and even. Move my mouse over. So you should have these nice even lines. Now what you're going to do is rotate your paper so we can see the whole paper the long ways. And we're going to do the exact same process. I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to line it up on the left. Okay, make sure it's lined up at the 0. Hold your ruler. Every inch, make a mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, you don't have to make one at the end. Slide your ruler down and your paper up. Now, I know you guys can't see those marks at the top. That's okay, because I want you to be able to see these marks here at the bottom. Lining my ruler up with 0 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Please make sure your marks are light, guys, okay? Everything needs to be light. Now you're going to connect your marks just like what we did. So you're going to line it up, the top, okay? Put your ruler up against it, line it up with that mark at the bottom, draw your line. Make sure your guys' is nice and light. Once again, I'm doing mine dark so you can see it. Draw yours light. And you're going to do this all the way across. I think the other lady's video, she has like a taller hover cam than I do. So mine is like maxed out and you can like barely see the whole page. And you get a taller hover cam. Put on some books. Okay. So, all right. Now you should have perfect squares. In theory, you should be able to take your ruler and measure, and it should be 1 inch. See? 1 inch by 1 inch. Okay? So now you have these nice boxes. This is the first step of your project, okay? You're going to draw your boxes. If your boxes are all crooked, okay, because what happens, I'll show you a bad thing, all right? What some people do is they'll make their marks at the top. And they don't make the marks at the bottom, and then what ends up happening is then they just like, oh, I'm just gonna eyeball it. I'm good at this. I can see, like I'm making it straight. This looks straight. And this is what ends up happening. I'll show you. And I see this so many times. So please make sure your marks are at the top and the bottom, okay? So what students do, and this is bad, is they'll only make the marks at the top. And then what ends up happening is you have boxes that are too small, boxes that are too big, okay? Uneven boxes. So if you only make the marks at the top, you're going to end up, the tops will start out nice, but then it will go all crazy. And this is actually like not horrible. Most of you guys will come out way bad. So you have to make the marks at the top and the bottom. So this is bad. Do not do this. You have to have top and bottom marks, okay? So once you have your marks at the top and the bottom, and you draw your lines, you have this beautiful grid. The next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to label our grid. Everybody does this a little bit differently. What I normally do is I'll put numbers on the longest way and letters on the shortest way. If you want to do numbers on the top, letters on the side, or letters on the top and numbers on the side, it's up to you, but be consistent. I do believe in the grid that I gave you with the Jaguar. I already labeled yours. But if you have the one without the labels, or if you had to print it offline, or if you're just looking at it offline, it's not labeled. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to label So I'm numbering it across the top, 1 through 12. And I honestly cannot remember if I labeled your guys's already. And if I did, I think I did do 1 through 12 on the top. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I was going to ask you today. And then, so 1 through 12 at the top. And then we're going to do letters on the side, starting with A in the first box. So this box is A1. Okay, so 1 through 12, A through I in the boxes. Okay, then the next thing we're going to do is you're going to have your Jaguar picture, which I gave all of you guys one of these. And it should have the grid already drawn. Like I said, I don't remember if I labeled it with the numbers or not. If I did not, you're going to label it the same as we did our paper. My boxes are a little hard to see. Your guys's are a lot cleaner. Now you'll notice 1 through 12, A through I, okay? So it should look exactly like your paper. If you did letters across the top, you should have letters across the top here and numbers down the side. It needs to match, okay? So however you're going to do yours, it needs to match. I have numbers across the top, letters down the side, numbers across the top, letters down the side, okay? So make sure yours matches. So once you've drawn your grid, which should take about a class period, okay? You've got your grid, you've got it lettered, you've got it numbered, lettered. You've got your Jaguar picture, it's labeled. Now we're going to start transferring our drawing, okay? Grids are used to break down an image into smaller parts so you can then redraw it at a larger or smaller scale. Most of the time we use grids to enlarge objects. So I have this small image and I'm going to make it this much bigger, okay? So this is a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch grid. This is 1 inch by inch, okay? So we're actually going to be doubling the size of this picture, all right? So 1/2 inch to 1 inch. So what we're going to do is we're going to I find it's best to start with the eyes, okay? You can start with the outline, but like I said, I always find it's best to start with the eyes and then like the nose, mouth, and work your way out. You will have to draw all the spots. You are not going to have to color this or fill it in, but you do need to draw all the details, the Jaguar, the outline, and the spots. You don't have to do anything with the background. And you will have to draw all the spots where they are located. And I'll talk more about this in the next class. But in this box here, there are these spots. So I expect your spots to match up. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the eye. We're going to start with this eye here. It is in box D4. So I'm going to come over to my paper here, and I'm going to go to D4. So D, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, lines up, D4, okay? Then I'm going to draw the eye how I see it in this box. Like it comes down into the corner of E4. Okay, kind of comes up. And you will need your eraser because you're going to have to adjust things, and that's okay. So I'm just following the grid of where I see the eyes, okay? And you can see this better by looking at yours than on the screen here. And you'll notice it's a little bit bigger. But if the eye only comes up halfway into a box, your eye should only come up halfway into the box, okay? You need to follow the placements of where everything is at. So then once I've done this eye, there are some highlights in here that I'm gonna kind of outline where those highlights are. A little bit of shading. You don't have to color this in, all right? I'm mainly looking that you are able to transfer the grid. So for grading, I'm looking at two different things. One, that your grid is nice and straight and perfect, and two, that you're transferring the drawing correctly. So I will be looking that your spots are transferred over correctly, that your eyes and your nose are transferred over correctly. So you need to make sure that your ear here is in box 10B, okay? So you need to check these things. That's why it's important just to do one thing at a time. So now I'm going to do this other eye. It's in E7. So E7 right here is where it starts, because the Jaguar's head is slightly tilted. And your eyes should roughly be about the same size, so if you're noticing that they're really far off, something's wrong. Make sure you're drawing light. A little highlight there. Okay, so once you have the two eyes, then you can start drawing the nose, you can draw the outline. I always like to start with this ear, but that's just my personal preference. So that's in B10 right here. It comes up and just touches the line and then comes down. And so you're just following this like a road map. So see, it should end right here on D10, and that's where mine is ending, right there on D10. And it goes right into the corner of 8. And then you would draw the head across. So you're going to draw the outline of the Jaguar, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, whiskers, and all the spots, okay? And I know there's a lot of spots. We're gonna be working on this for 2 weeks, but you do need to draw the spots in the correct area. You cannot just draw random circles and stuff for your spots. You need to draw them correctly, okay? So the first step is to draw your grid. Make sure it's good and perfect. Label it to match your picture, and then start drawing. Now, if you lost this photo, if you don't have that anymore, if you go back to our Art Fundamentals page, go to the week 12, right here, week 12. Right below the video that I'm going to be posting that shows you how to do this is called, there's a link called Jag Grid Enlargement document. This is a Word document. If you click on that and save it, it'll probably save into your Google Drive. This is the picture for you guys, and you can just follow this on your screen, okay? You don't have to print this one out. You can just look at it on your screen. Just make sure you don't lose track of which box is which, okay? If you want to print it out and label it, that's perfectly fine. Some of the boxes will be a little bit hard to see. I hand drew your guys's, so it was copied better. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know.